Good evening, all. Ira Epstein, and here we are with your financial market wrap-up, your weekend edition. And this is for Sunday, and we're now talking about markets that have a lot going on. I waited for tonight because, OPEC met yesterday, and they had a very, how would I say it, aggressive meeting. That's probably the right word, where they have said that they can't seem to roll in Kazakhstan, Iraq from overproducing. There's some others. So they said, we're going to go with another month right after this one of 411,000 barrels a day more, and we're going to ratchet up every month after that till we bring back at least the 2 million barrels that we had. So they're throwing that out, and you could see what's happening on the energy markets. They're getting hit rather aggressively. Bonds and notes getting a small bid. I didn't see anything that should make them go one way or the other. Warren Buffett said bye-bye at the end of the year. Now the question is, who's another Warren Buffett? I don't know anybody that can be another Warren Buffett. I mean, it's the greatest investor of all time, my lifetime. I don't know about other lifetimes. But when you look at what's going on here, the market down, is it because of him? Nah, probably not. I think you're just getting overbought. You had people over the weekend coming out and saying, we're going to make a top here and we're going to take out those April 7th lows. It's very possible. I did a special report for everybody, by the way. And to view it, you just go to iraepstein.com. At the top up here, you're going to see it's stock indices. So I cover both the S&P and SPY. I give you price counts. I give you seasonal trades on it. I look at the weekly and I look at the daily charts. So I give you a whole package as to what I see right now. And I think it's pretty important. This is my update on that one. I hope I do as well on that as I did on the dollar index when I did the update 3 weeks ago. That wasn't a bad call at all. It was a good one. All right. So let's take a look at what we've got here in taking a look. You can see you're down through here. The gold market sitting at 328.50, but you're losing the bullish embedded reading. We'll talk about that in a moment. Silver down a little, copper up a little bit tonight. The dollar index down, most currencies waffling. I think that's the right word. In Australia, the election took place, and Prime Minister Albanese's second term, we haven't had that in a couple of decades, back-to-back new terms there. And he got a majority in the government from everything I'm reading. So I think that is good. Romania also had a very interesting election where one of the far-right conservatives, if you will, very pro-Trump, won. There'll be a runoff between him now and the second place candidate. We will see what goes on there. Canada down a little bit. Mexican peso up a fraction right now. So when we take a look at the S&P, you're still over the 18-week average. I have been saying if the market wanted to correct hard, by the way, I said week. This is the monthly chart. The 18-month average of closes, because we're going to look at the weekly after this. And I said one of the possible targets, and I haven't given up on that, could be getting back to this 55.39 level, which is the 18-month. We haven't been there since 2023. Doesn't mean it has to go there, but it's one thought process. When you come to the weekly chart, I have labeled this rally as a bear market rally. And the reason I have done so is my theory, and how I use it on charts as a filter, is when the market is under the 18-week average, I have a bearish bias. When it's over it, I have a bullish bias. And where the market often fights battles is right at that 18-week average. And I think you'd agree, simplistic, but I find it effective. When we take a look at how the chart has been going, visually it looks like you've got lower highs and a lower low. But when you put on the swing line, you actually have higher lows, apexes, and a higher high. Where might the resistance be? You're coming right to it, the 57.60.5 zone. Let's assume the market closes over it. If one were buying, your stop would have to be, in my opinion, all the way back down here. So I have nothing in my head that makes me look at this chart and want to be bullish just yet off a weekly chart. Where the market seems to have found its footing was the 100-week average. It wasn't able to get to the 200, but it got to the 100-week. You can see that. And the combination of the Bollinger Band with it offered finally the support, and the markets had a bounce from there. Momentum never did embed. It got oversold, and it's corrected. It is not overbought. So what we have is a market in a bear market correction with the swing line. The bias is down, and momentum pointing up. That's the best way to define it. It is the same thing in the Dow. You have higher lows, higher highs, a bear market correction, one that also found its support at the 100-week average and the Bollinger Band together, and it gave you a trade bottom low. And again, that April 7th low that I show you on the daily charts, that is what people are going to target, that if it can take that out, it means that something else has happened in the market. And if it doesn't take it out, traders will look back and say that was the panic low, and the market, because of that, has X amount of months that it goes up after, blah, blah, blah. I write about it in my newsletter. I'm not going to make it available here. Subscribe. Support what you watch here, and it helps all of us. In the NASDAQ, higher lows, higher highs, another bear market rally, momentum correcting and oversold, identical picture here. And for a change, the child that never rallies is following everything else, and that is the Russell. And it's coming into the first level of resistance, the 200-week. It's been so weak that this is the one that has it. All the others had that 200-week under them. This one's the first challenge of it, then the 100 and up there. We'll see what it does with that. This is going to be an interesting week. In the DAX, as far as I'm concerned, you're overbought. You're so close to that reading, I expect that some traders are taking money off the table, but it's not a trend per se. This is another vertical price rise that just took off in the market. In the 30-year bonds, I see no trend at all. I see a market that's got a higher high and hit the upper band. I see a market with a lower low that hasn't been able to get back to it since really last year, 2024, October, November, and it seems to be stuck a lot at the 18-week average. It has no interest to me at this point. In the 10-year note, same thing. And the market is anticipating that this week's FOMC, the Fed is going to sit tight at this report, and it's expecting already that they'll sit tight in June. It's too soon to talk about June. We want to see if tariff data comes in there and what it does to the jobs market and what the general economy looks like. But the Fed has no reason to move. That Friday jobs report was a knockout punch for the bears that thought you were going to get something in May. Higher high, lower low. Look for support right here, but not a trend. In the dollar index, we've been falling, and you haven't lost the bearish embedded reading. Until you do, this market need not rally. If it does rally, I view this whole area as major resistance in the market. In terms of price count, if you start getting under this right here, this, let's call it these lows near 9,800, and close under that, you open the door for another 8-9% drop in this market, if that occurs. I'm not saying it's going to occur. Let's see what happens. I have zero reason to be bullish. The trends are down, the bias is down. In the euro, I have zero reason to be bearish. The trend's what? Well, it's not quite up. You have a higher high and a lower low in the market, and you're holding on to an embedded reading. The embedded reading rules the day. Have it close under 79. I want to walk away from it. Then you might be coming back down here. Until that occurs, I view the market as still in a bull trend. Canadian dollar, bit overbought, stretched itself all the way up here, difficult to trade. Where would you put a stop on it? That becomes the biggest problem. We see the trend is up. Now, Japan made an interesting statement today. They came out and their trade negotiator, the finance minister, said Japan has zero intent on using their holdings of U.S. securities in trade talks. That is a 180-degree reversal from this man's same statement on Friday. So somewhere along the line, he got called in and was read the riot act that this is not going to work. You know, now you're going to hurt us in different ways. That gave the yen a little bit of a bounce, in my opinion. Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin is still a market. I've said it in the chart action that could go back to the 100,000 level. I see no problem with that off the daily chart. The weekly chart isn't trending. You have a lower and low, higher high. in Brent, you know, when you talk about price wars that you had, you do realize that in 2022, that is not a misprint. Okay, just keep your eye on it. Brent went negative. If you could have storage, if you could find that you could get it for free, pay for the storage. Well, you know, it came roaring back from negative 66 all the way up here. That's just how these things work. So if these countries want to play games with Saudi Arabia, they've gone through it once already. Not the smart move that you could make. Let's see if I can get, I'm sorry there. I had a price just hit. I'm going to have to stop it right here. This isn't, I don't think it's going to let me do what I want, and it's because a certain number got hit on something that I'm doing. And I will. I'll just stop it. Suffice to say, all the energy markets to me look as though they want to break off this news. I can't get to them here, but I'll cover everything for you on the daily charts. I don't want to do this over again right now. And I want to remind you of something even more important, and that is go over and take a look at this special report. It's only up through Tuesday. See, it's going to go away each time I do this because as the prices get hit. Just go to iraepstein.com, give it a click if you would there, and you'll be in great shape. I'm Ira. Have yourself a great evening. I'll catch up with everybody come Monday morning and look at the other videos we have posted tonight. Take care.